me and Aaron are trying to figure things out, but we're trying to get Aaron on the live. I'm here in a moment to talk about the three magics of touch, listening, and song to dismantle, to heal our oppressions, as well as building a nest to get ahead of the trauma story. And basically Aaron Johnson's work and how that intersects with New Culture Summer Camp East happening this July 14th to 23rd. What excites me about that is the depth of presence and compassion and love that Aaron brings to this courageous, crucial, life-giving work of dismantling systems of oppression and the ways that they live inside of me, live inside of you, live inside of each other, the way that we're recreating those systems of oppression each day, even with our simplest choices, are the ways that we choose to connect, to speak to one another, to thoughtfully touch one another. There's Aaron again. I'm gonna get him. Asked Aaron to join the podcast. Adding. Here we go. There's Aaron. Okay. So, like I said to those of you who joined before, this is Aaron Johnson. I'm Indigo Dawn. We're going to talk about Aaron's passion, soul work in the world, which is also really near and dear to me, and the world I want to create. What comes up for you to share about your work in the world?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for all the technology support. I'm in North Carolina right now, stuck in a team time zone, and so the internet is banging us up. That's why I named that. As far as the work, um, there's so much. I think there's a way that I'm constantly looking for on ramps for people to access touch, dismantle oppression, and I'm using song. I'm using sounding. I'm using all these technologies to build on ramps for folks to have access to dismantle oppression and being grounded in their body in that same process. And so for me, Holistic Resistance and the Cup Project is foundational to doing that with bringing song. I just came out of a song circle up in the hills to allow people to have entry points. And it was amazing how we could just drop in such a short period of time and track each other with our voices and then eventually with our hands. And that has been a powerful place to dismantle oppression.
Yes. That has me thinking of the way that trauma and the stories and experiences of living in an oppressive system, if it's stored in the body. So a better way to heal that than in and through and with the body, through touch.
Yes. I think for me, we work for folks that are chronically undertouched mostly, and I think culture is the whole spectrum. We found that being able to track the body with sound and to track syncing up with people in village, vocal village, proximity village, and using songs that have been going on. So many songs are ancestral, post-slavery songs that have been, I think Black folks have been using some of this music and song for years to get access to their humanity. I think it's probably different when people are able to reach for each other in the container of being seen as full human beings. And that's one of the things we're trying to reach for, is there's a way that oppressive hands can be extractive. And so I think song is a way to slow us down. And I love that that's something that I, particularly a cappella singing and particularly sounding without instruments, which are amazing, but without them, it allows us to be vulnerable. And that vulnerability can allow us to slow down. That slowing down can allow us to track oppressive behaviors can slip in there. So it's definitely a place to humanize the otherwise sometimes unhumanized.
Yeah, totally. And I want to pull out something. When you say oppressive hands, can you say more? Like what you mean?
Well, there's a specific history. I'm right here in North Carolina, but the West, East, and West, but the East Coast has a particular lineage of being an on ramp for oppressive, um, oppressing black bodies. Slavery is so alive in the United States, but it feels more alive when I'm down here on the East Coast, partly because of so much, like there are so much evidence, so much, I can feel the evidence of post-slave America. I say post-slave, I know slavery is still happening on some level here in the United States, but post-government funded mainstream slavery in America. So feeling that that's a history that's on our bodies. And so I think there's a way that we're able to notice that. Don't let it stop us, but invest in us being able to humanize our lineage. And so I'm going to grieve. I'm going to bring grief into my tenderness. Sometimes when grief shows up, it can get somewhat hard for tenderness to coexist. And so I always watch active hands show up when it starts to smother tenderness. It starts to smother vulnerability. It starts to smother humanness out of a person. And so I track when I think extractive hands show up is when they want to appropriate the music or appropriate the black culture, but not do the labor of seeing them as a full person and seeing them as a full community and a full humans in that culture. And so extractive hands wants to piece out what's convenient and not necessarily reach for the entire part of the culture and being of the person, even when it's inconvenient. So that inconvenience, the convenient piece is where I always track where I think white bodies and white led spaces want to hold the story. So I think that's what I hold um, when I track distracted hands or not.
Yeah. So what this brings my mind to is some conversations we had last year. And I remember a question you asked, it may have been the people of the global majority focus group and asking them, what do you think is New Culture's ideal black person? And I think you asked the majority white organizer team, what is your ideal black person to participate? And so it brings me back to this idea of wanting things like visual diversity, which I do want. I'm an organizer, but I have to watch the parts of me that are like, I want to make sure I get a person of the majority in this photo. Making sure that even while tracking things like optics and, how many white versus PGM presenters we have, people in leadership looking to empower and share power across different racial, gender divides. But at the same time, making sure I'm not just being like, oh, you, Erin, you're for me. You're for my benefit. You're so I look good. You're so my organization looks good, but really relating to you or just any PGM person that's in the space as this full human being, unique needs, wants, desires, aversions, random thought that pops into the head, like not somebody who is for me at all. That's what comes out.
You nailed some really important pieces that we're learning from last New Culture, and I did New Culture East and West last year, so I have kind of a both coast exposure. This year I only on the East, but what's important is to talk about visual diversity. And that just felt important. When you said that, I was like, most organizations goes for visual diversity. Can we get photographs on our website? Can we get people of the global majority in our photographs, and then they kind of relax a bit and go, okay, we got visual diversity. And there's a massive gap between visual diversity and the slow, thoughtful, patient, consistent work that white controlled spaces need to do, should be excited to do, to create a diversity that's not just visual. Your visual diversity might not shift. I'm going to say this real slow. Your visual diversity might not shift for 5 years. And things that can't be documented and easily put on the social media is happening in a massive space. So when people of the global majority show up to a space in a sustainable, slow process, the room, the container has actually been prepared for them. And I think that's very beautiful. We talked about like the desire as an organizing person knows that there is impact when you can get a critical mass of people in a photograph that can signal to other people to show up in a diverse space. And I'm always saying, if they happen to be there and opening pictures, so be it. But I'm also careful for us to get too excited about the visual diversity, but really get excited about the thoughtful, year-round, internal work of white people and intimate work of inviting and working on creating safer spaces for diversity. And that, I think, is what we're leaning to. That's why I named that appreciation. You said visual diversity. And I think a lot of particularly sex positive, spiritual groups love visual diversity and really get exhausted real fast about asking themselves, our ideal person in the global majority is. They run from the question because it feels uncomfortable to really admit that they have a small slice of capacity. So I always say, ask that question. We want to know what that is so we can grow it. Once you know my ideal black person, I remember it wasn't this group, wasn't New Culture, but it was a group similar. So my ideal black person is a black person that doesn't let me know that helps me forget they're black as soon as possible. And when they said that, they're like, I don't want to say it. Then they worked on that. So I appreciate the vulnerability for that white person in the white people's face to admit that they did not want to be confronted or inconvenienced around black specifically, and that person would do well in their org. They can get in there, but that's not a sustainable model. That's going to get you a slice. That might get you some visual diversity. But they had to work on what was coming up for their org and their leadership, that they wanted someone to skip to the comfort and not recognize some of the hurt that was in between that space. And so for me, I think that's really important to ask that question, not only in New Culture, but anyone that is trying to invite in. There's always, in America, we have a huge marketing system. We have actors, we cast a certain kind of way. We have films that succeed. We have songs that are hits, all because we have these slices of beings that we're used to cutting people up and borrowing what tastes good for now. So what we're inviting here at New Culture and other orgs, but particularly in New Cultures, what does it mean to see more of a human being more consistently? Does that mean? I'll pause.
And then impact me, us, and let them change us, let them change our space, not by making them like forcing them to lead if that's not what they want to do, who they are, but like if they say, ow, this hurts, or they say, yeah, I didn't really like this thing, listening, being like, oh, I care about you, and I care that you didn't like that thing, and I wonder, like, what's possible? What can I do to make it better so it doesn't hurt? So that you like better, you have more fun here, things like that.
Oh, I want to track our time over talking that we started late. You just activated something really important around listening. I was at a gathering and a person came to me and said, Aaron, if you were going to talk about just one thing about racism, just one thing, what would the one thing you would want to talk about if you're limited to one particular thing? And my answer then, and part of my answer in the years to come is listening. One of the places I find oppression to really thrive is in an environment where white folks are unable to understand what it actually means to listen to people of the global majority. And I'll break it down, not to be vague about it, but to listen with your ears is important. But to listen with your heart is equally important. But what do I mean? Not just vaguely listen with your heart. What I mean by simply listen with your heart is I'm talking about entering into your attention going, I am listening, and my attention is open enough that when what I hear invites me to change something I believe for a long period of time, I will actually let it in and consider it. I'm never one saying you must listen because I'm African heritage, but I want to say consider it. Consider what I'm saying will help my humanity show up. Consider it. And then what I ask you too about listening is that white folks are used to listening to people of the global majority as consumption and as a way of entertainment. That was entertaining. But to change the listening from entertainment and change it to an ability to see and to hold better, different, and saying that was entertaining. But now I'm listening. I want to see you. I'm not listening because I want to track where your humanity, how deep your humanity is, how tall your humanity is, that your humanity and your emotional profile is more complex than what Hollywood has said, than what mainstream pornography has said. Your humanity happens to be standing in front of me. Now I'm listening. So there's a way in which that's the listening that happens that white folks can listen with the desire to be only entertained, to only be aroused, to only benefit their stimulus and lose interest when it requires anything beyond that particular experience. I'm not saying those can't be present, but if that's where our mind stops thinking, I would say we're not able to listen.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Wanna let that sink in for a moment. Yeah, I love that piece about allowing one's understanding of themselves, of the world, of others, like allowing that to shift, which can feel like death to certain parts that are afraid of change, but it's crucial. It's really crucial to deeply know any other human being, but especially if part of the worldview that we've been indoctrinated, socialized with, is that Black folks are not real, full human beings. So yeah, that needs to shift, to have a true intimacy, to have someone be a person in community, in relationship, then that worldview has to change. So you gotta know it's there. You gotta heal it. I see Sarah saying, loving the conversation, any way to improve Aaron's sound quality. I don't know what was going on, but it was crackly.
I'm hearing something in my ear. I'm not sure what it is. It almost sounds like someone's like typing. I'm not sure what.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, so I hear that, but I'm not sure how I sound, so I don't know if that's coming through on theirs, or if if it's just like also like my microphone. Let me see. I can take it off my mic and see if it's any better. Let me try that. Oh. Is this any better now? I don't know. Let me know. It's on the phone.
A little better. Does that work for
Okay.
you, Sarah?
Yeah, I can do it this way. This is somewhat better. Sarah, check me in.
Yeah. Comment if you want us to try changing it again, but maybe let's go with this. And also, if you have a question, you can shoot it in the comments. They pop up in my feed. So, I want to come in for begin our descent to landing, and I'd love to hear what you're most excited, what catalyst, what seed you're excited to plant in the Abrams Creek Forest this summer at summer camp.
There's a seed I'm excited to plant, and it has three key components. One is going to be an invitation for what I call marathon listening, for particularly white folks to get really invested and excited about embodying the listening practice. Number two part of that seed is making sure that we have the desire for the marathon journey and not just for the splash amazing point of the week experience. And the third thing is being patient with yourselves as white folks. I really don't want you to feel like beating yourself up is actually an effective way to be sustainable. I really want you all into being tender, not in a bypassing way, but tender with yourself to know this is a practice. And I'm here amongst other people, low maturity, to invite a practice. And a practice is not perfect. A practice is something we get to experiment a bit. I love that because it is fundamentally a part of the culture. And so I just want to invite that three parts to see, understand that I am down for mistakes. I'm down for fresh rehearsing. I'm down for practice, but I want us to stay in it. And that will allow us to become less harmful and more effective. So that's what I'm excited about. That's the catalyst for me back to this place.
Yes. I feel so excited and curious to see what will grow from the seeds. And I think, yeah, so finishing thoughts. So New Culture Summer Camp East is in less than a month, July 14th to 23rd. And I am so excited to be in person with you, Aaron. We could hug if we want to. And any of y'all watching, if you want to come, you can ask for hugs. Those hugs could be available. And any parting thoughts?
Well, I'll just say my parting thought is that I'm in for the marathon. I know this is my second year. I'm not going to really come up for air for 5. So I hit 5 years, but hopefully where we are. So I just know that I'm in this drop down with your hearts. I'm also going to practice what I'm preaching and not looking for fast fixes, but looking for consistent reaches of growth. So that's what my heart is. I have so much love for y'all. I've been seeing some of y'all at song circles in Oregon area. I've been seeing some of y'all at other events. So that's my name. I love that y'all reaching out. I just saw school right now, the song circle that I saw last year, and they're like, what? And we had a great song circle a couple of hours ago. And so I just want to appreciate y'all as I see you in the world. That matters so much to reach out. So I just want to be in the marathon. Thank you for your hearts at the culture and beyond.
Yeah. I'm on the marathon too. Okay, it's the door to connect. But
we should pop off so it's not super long. Bye to Raylan. Say thank you. I feel honored to listen to you and to see you. Oh, I love you, Raylan. Hello.
Viola?
Raylan.
Rayla.
Okay, and yeah, thanks everyone who watched this live and who watches it later. And I send big love to Aaron.